Hey guys, we are the Middle East group. My name is Landon, and you are also going to see Kendall and another Landon. And basically, what we're going to do is go through an overview of the Middle East. So, one of the first things we learned in class was what are the boundaries of the Middle East? And honestly, there really isn't a set border or boundary to that region of the world. It's really open to anybody's interpretation. I mean, here's just only a few examples of like different areas that could be in the Middle East, but like I said, there's really no set boundary. You can really just circle any area of any group of countries in that region and call it the Middle East. Like there really isn't a set boundary, and like it's open to anyone's interpretation. So Orientalism is basically a mistaken idea that the people of the Middle East are different than the people in the US. And honestly, that's just not true. And to fix this idea, what we need to do is instead of focusing on the differences straight out, you look at the similarities between the two, and only then can you find the differences to this honestly broken idea. So now for some historical background on the Middle East. Well, first, throughout all of history, the area of the Middle East has been conquered by multiple empires. Um, but I want to highlight one specific being an empire founded by Muhammad, who's also the founder of Islam. Hmm.
The interwar period. In the interwar period, the time right after World War I, the League of Nations divided up the Arab provinces. With the new divisions, the British and French colonized those provinces. Alongside the new provinces, specifically Turkey and Iran, had to cast out the monarchies and had to focus on state sponsored reform. All the new countries that were under European rule struggled for independence, as Arabs had to rethink their entire identity. However, one Arab country became different as Egypt became independent and a reforming state. Before, during, and after World War II, Zionism came into power, and with that, so did Israel, which after World War II took they took over Palestine. After World War II to the 1970s, America began to worry about the Soviet Union, and which caused problems to the Middle East. While some countries like Iran and Turkey had US aid, other countries did not. Both both of these countries were vulnerable to communist threats. However, it was because Turkey was a reforming state and a multi-party system, and Iran's dictatorship was still at large, however, with reform.
So the next topic we're going to look at is Nasserism. So the first thing we would look at would be Pan-Arabism, which is his belief that all Arab states should be unified and under one ruler, which would of course be him. And when you combine this idea of Pan-Arabism with socialism, you get Arab socialism. So this kind of encompasses all of his ideas and is his main ideology that he goes by. One of the other reasons that he was so popular was his anti imperialist sentiments and how he treated Israel. A lot of Egyptians felt that the imperialists had been controlling them for a long time, and when Nasser stood up to them, they saw that as him being a champion in their eyes. So when he stood up to Israel and went to war with them, that was him going against the Western imperialist state of the region. So he tries to stay relatively neutral in the Cold War with the US and the Soviets, but he kind of takes whatever he can get from either side where it benefits him. So the next period that we would look at would be the 1970s to the 1990s. So in this period, you see a increase in non-secular ideas and the resurgence of Islam. So up until now, starting at about the beginning of the 20th century, you see a lot of um, push towards secular ideas with Nasser and Ataturk and people like that. And so when you see this resurgence, it is also anti-imperialist in a way, as it goes against the ideas of Western government. So a good example of this would be the Iranian Revolution of 1979. And in this revolution, they overthrow the Shah, which had essentially been put in by the U.S. to be a friendly ruler. So this just kind of shows the ideas at the time were to rebel and to have their own states and kind of just be Islamic. And so you see a lot of increased tension in this time as a lot of people fight for freedom and fight for their own independence. So there's a lot of violence in the region as different social groups collide. So the two questions that we have for you guys are, one, what do you think are the boundaries of the Middle East that we talked about earlier in the presentation? Where would you define the lines? And the second question is, what is your opinion on Abdel Nasser? And do you think that he helped the Middle East progress, or do you think he hindered the progress?